Welcome back to our discussion. Digital transformation depends on infrastructure modernization, sponsored by Swish Data and Riverbed Technologies, here on Federal News Network. My guests today are Sean Applegate, the Chief Technology Officer at Swish Data, and Marlon McFate, the Public Sector Chief Technology Officer at Riverbed Technologies. I'm your host, Tom Temin. And Marlon, I think one of the emerging issues for all federal agencies is the TIC architecture, the Trusted Internet Connection 3.0 and beyond, coming from Homeland Security, which is an acknowledgement that the government is becoming less and less data centered and more cloud focused. And so that introduces all sorts of difficulties for getting trust in the internet connection, which relies on a physical single wire, if you will. So how can software-defined networks help people get in good with the emerging TIC architecture?
All right, so there's a number of aspects there. No, you're absolutely right. The government is definitely trying to move away from data centers, but they're also trying to incorporate a lot of other things, such as private cloud, public cloud, SaaS offerings. And what they've kind of come to the conclusion is especially, say, in civilian organizations, even within the DoD, it's not called a TIC in the DoD, but what they're really asking that point, what would be considered the TIC in each one of these, the trusted internet connection, is to also be that point that provides access to different areas, different communities of interest, the cloud. This is all coming, down to the TIC. And our traditional TICs are built on traditional networking technology. So again, as we said earlier, pretty inflexible, not very agile. When you need to make changes, such as what we have right now with COVID going on, these are very, very painful things to do. Whereas we're expected in the past to be able to have time to test those changes, lab those changes before we ever implement them, right? So the new SD-WAN, and the new TIC architecture, such as TIC 3.0, they're going to be asked to do a lot more than just security, which is really what the TIC was designed to do. They're going to be that meat point, right? So such as SaaS and internet, et cetera, are one of those difficult areas that the TIC is now going to be asked to be able to take. So the who do I use? How do I get connected to? How do I incorporate this into my existing network design? All those questions. TIC 3.0 providers are going to not only be expected to provide a turnkey answer to both of those questions, but also along with the how do I provide better security than I am today. I feel basically it's a no-brainer to utilize a system that both provides an ease of boundary security to a TIC 3.0 solution, such as an SD-WAN offering with built-in security and centralized management, and an overall modernized TIC solution that offers community to community, community to cloud, community internet, and outside protection with zero trust capabilities. I think it's basically a no-brainer. And by doing so, we're going to reduce the complexity and simplify the deployment and management of many aspects while greatly increasing the security and performance for all of my end users. So traditional TIC approaches, like I said, are built on legacy approaches and suffer the same problems of fragility and lack of reliability when changes need to be made, such as what we're going through now.
So Sean, if I'm a CIO and I say that all sounds pretty good, I can help the security people, I can help the application owners, I can help the program people. Where do I begin?
Yeah, if you're that CIO, you're going to have to look at your budget and see what's available. Luckily, in today's world where you can use internet transport with an over-the-top TIC 3.0 architecture, we can combine that with SD-WAN at the edge. You're going to get the value of your policy enforcement point at the edge with software-defined WANs that have security capabilities, while coupling that with your advanced security capabilities in TIC 3.0. This is the branch office use case. That's going to give the CIO very powerful performance and security capabilities they likely don't have today. So they have a lot of agility to make decisions efficiently and operationally execute them at a global level, while also improving their workforce productivity. And if they use internet as one of their primary transports, they're going to reduce their cost for the wider network by anywhere from 1 to 5 times more money, sometimes 10x less. So get a lot more capacity for a lot less money. So adopting the internet and TIC 3.0 not only is providing more agility for security, but probably a much better position on the budget from a cost savings perspective.
So Marlon, let me ask you, as a CIO or as a tech officer in an agency, if I'm planning to go to this technology, what's some of the groundwork I have to do first? What kind of planning do I need? What kind of vision do I have to have for my network before moving directly and adopting this SD-WAN technology?
Well, I think the first thing that we need to realize when you're in that position is that when it comes to modernization as a whole, right, the limiting factor here is your network, right? And oftentimes I see modernization efforts start in other places, whether they be cloud adoption or SaaS adoption, and the network modernization is sometimes lags behind, right? This concept of looking at networks as disparate pieces that need to be managed separately is something that is hindering. I talk to network engineers a lot, and I ask them to, go through what would it be like, bringing on cloud or bringing on a new location, and I usually get a myriad of steps, that end up being things like configuration and testing and rolling trucks and all these things. So it takes quite a bit of time. So I would say, stop what you're doing if that's the road you're going down. And if you have to look, you need to look into SD-WAN and tick 3.0 first. Modernization of the network first is the first step. Because if you don't, when you get around to actually incorporating software-defined concepts into your plan, you're going to find that many of the things that you've already done would have been much simpler if you had actually addressed the fact that you were working on a traditional network first. So therefore, network modernization starts with the network, the wide area network.
All right, well, that's a good place to close on. Do that field work first, that spade work first, and then you're ready to go to the SD-WAN. I want to thank today's guests. Marlon McFate is the Public Sector Chief Technology Officer at Riverbed Technologies. Sean Applegate is the Chief Technology Officer at Swish Data. I'm your moderator, Tom Temin. You're listening to Federal News Network. For more on this discussion, visit federalnewsnetwork.com and search Swish Data.